Death threats, racism, abuse. Is this really what Sunderland politics has become? If you hate politicians, fine, vote them out. Challenge them, hold them to account. But if you're threatening them, abusing them because of their sexual orientation or their race or their gender, or even turning up at their home, then you for sure crossed a line. I read an article in Sunderland Echo this week that really got to me. It was talking about councillors being abused, being attacked, having death threats sent to them and people showing up at their homes. Now these aren't rumours, these are true stories from the mouths of the councillors they happen to. One councillor described someone using public records to find his address and just showed up at his house, unannounced, late at night, ripping his Ring doorbell off his front door. Who does that? Another councillor talks about receiving a death threat. Another councillor says she's only been a councillor 2 months and she's already been spat at in the street. Just think about all of that for a second. Let's get one thing straight. Councillors should expect criticism. I was a councillor. I got criticised every single day, sometimes rightly so, and sometimes absolutely no reason at all. But that's democracy. But death threats are not democracy. Turning up at somebody's house is not democracy. Spitting at somebody in the street is not democracy. That's intimidation. And that's completely unacceptable whether they're Labour, Reform, Lib Dem, Conservative, Green, Independent or a Martian from the Looney Party. It does not matter. Nobody signs up for this. But one thing I did notice about the article is that they only spoke to white councillors and didn't speak to any of the people of colour who may have experienced some other forms of abuse. Now that's an important conversation to have too, because just last week, I posted a picture of myself and my friend, Councillor Efesham Hack. We simply pointed out that 16 bollards were being put up on Chester Road to help stop the rogue parking. Nothing to do with immigration, nothing to do with race, just parking. And within hours, the comments descended into chaos. Racism at every turn. All because Councillor Hack is Muslim and it has a different colour skin to the people commenting. Conversation completely changed. It just stopped being about the issue that was at hand and it turned nasty and became about the person. I've experienced it myself. While I was campaigning for the last election, I received so much abuse that I had to get the police involved. One person even claimed that the mayor, Kim McGuinness, would have to get disinfected because she'd stood too close to me. So when I read this article, I wasn't shocked that it exists. I was shocked because I knew exactly what those councillors were talking about. In the chamber, politicians argue. Behind closed doors, politicians argue. Sometimes they really dig in and tear strips off each other in meetings. But then the meeting finishes and they go and stand out in the concourse and have a chat. Sometimes go and have a coffee together. Politics isn't supposed to be war. It's supposed to be disagreement. One councillor in the article made a really good point. He said people are far more likely to say things online than they are face to face. And it's true, because it's easy to hate a profile picture. It's much harder to hate the person standing right in front of you. And before anyone says, oh, well, they're politicians, remember this. Councillors are your neighbours. They shop where you shop. Their kids go to school where your kids go to school. Most of them have full-time jobs. Most of them are not wealthy. Some coach football teams and volunteer in the community. Some run food banks. Some help residents after work. They're ordinary people who chose to put themselves forward. And one line from this article stuck with me. Former councillor Anthony Mullen said, voters get the politicians they deserve if they do not create a culture in which people want to serve. And whether you agree with Anthony politically or not, that's worth thinking about. But if decent people look at politics and think, nah, it's not worth the abuse, who replaces them? So criticise politicians, yes. Challenge them, question them, campaign against them, and vote them out if you think they're doing a bad job. That's democracy. But the moment politics becomes personal, the moment it becomes racism, threats, violence, or intimidation, we all end up in a much worse place. Because the people driven away won't just be the politicians. It's the decent people that might have stood up to serve their community, but decided the abuse simply wasn't worth it. Agree or disagree? Talk to me.